Hello everyone, welcome to the Azure Developer Day. This is Lakshit Pant from Azure Developer Community, and today we have a couple of sessions lined up for you all around monitoring and management and also around Ballerina Choreo, which will help you build some cloud native integration landscape. So for the first session, we have Ms. Apurva ma'am here who will be taking the session of monitoring and management with Azure Monitor. She is a Microsoft certified Azure data engineer, Microsoft certified Azure architect, and she is multi-certified Azure. So she'll be taking the session. Not wasting much more time, I'll quickly pass on the stage to Apurva ma'am. And if you have any doubts, feel free to drop in the comment section. We will be taking the doubts at the end of the session, and we'll be sharing a form that you need to fill for your attendance. So thank you everyone. Yeah, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Lakshit. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the session, and let quickly start my sharing my screen.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible. It's visible,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So, so as we know, today we are talking about monitoring and management with Azure Monitor. So, here we will check what is Azure Monitor and how it works, and we will go through with lab also, not in the hardcore level, but yeah, we will get a basic idea about Azure Monitor as well. So let me introduce myself first of all. So I am Microsoft certified data engineer and Microsoft certified Azure administrator, and I have done a couple of certification like DP 203 Agent 104 and DP 900 and Agent 900. Apart from that, I have worked as a Azure developer in an organization. That is a quick introduction of myself, and let me go to the course side, whatever things we will cover in this course. So first of all, before going to the Microsoft Azure Monitor, we will check what is Azure exactly. And now, as per all the topic, we will check what is Azure Monitor, what is the key features of Azure Monitor, and Azure Monitor VMs and security center, why we need this, why how it's beneficial for us. So that thing we will cover in this session. So this is all over the thing about course and my side, and now we will start. Uh, so first of all, as you are able to see on the screen, what is Azure? So before going to the Azure Monitor, first of all, we need to check what is Azure and why we need Azure. So as you are able to see on the screen, Azure is a cloud computing services. Yeah, Azure is a type of cloud. Now, second question will come: which type of cloud is Azure? Azure is a type of public cloud. Okay, where we will get a different kind of services like IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. These three kind of services you will find in the Azure. IaaS, infrastructure services, software as a services, and platform as a services. Like in your infrastructure services, so they will provide an infrastructure where you need to where they will provide a different kind of services. They will provide a platform. Also they are also you are able to find different kind of services, also software as a service. So these, I think you guys already have an idea about it, what is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Like if we are using Teams, so that is come to the SaaS, because they will give you a platform, everything they will give, only you need to use a Teams. So that is it comes to SaaS. Apart from that, if you check VM side, virtual machine, so that will come on from IaaS side, they will give you infrastructure. And if you come on the PaaS side, so there is also some services in the PaaS like log analytics. These things will come on the PaaS side. So now first our topic is the first Azure Monitor. So what is Azure Monitor? So Azure Monitor, in previously what we have done, we have an on-premises server where we have a different monitors, different VMs, or we different services. There we need to go and check one by one everything, that yeah, how it's work in on-premises side. But if we come to Azure, then we have a feature that is called Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor, what will provide, it will give everything in a single places. If you want to check on the on-premises side, that also will consider here. If you are on the your data is on premises, or you are doing like using a different kind of services that is not belong to Azure, so that will also you can connect with the Azure Monitor. So for example, you are going to a plan, like if you're on the airport, okay, So they are not like that. They will connect with each and everyone who comes to there and who comes to there. They will use a different CCTV camera and check everything. Yeah, who is come, whatever things are going on. If there is a security breaking site, everything they will check. If they find annoying and any kind of annoying thing or anything, so they will come to you and they will directly check, yeah, what is the exact reason for that. So in Azure Monitor, what things are doing, if you are using different kind of virtual machine, different services you are using on the Azure or on premise service anywhere, if you are using different services, so you are not going to check on each and every virtual machine, each and every services. Azure Monitor will do this for you. It will command each and every virtual machine, each and every service on the single plate, and you can check one by one with the help of different things like Azure Logs, Azure Metrics. You can use, like, if we have a different features in the Azure Monitor, so with help of that we can find each and everything in the single site. If you are using 50 plus virtual machine, so that is not a case like you can go and each and every virtual machine and you can check each and every virtual machine. No, in the Azure Monitor, you can check each and every virtual machine in a single plate. They will provide you, yes, each and every virtual machine, each and every data factory, and whatever services you are using in the Azure or outside of the Azure, you can find in the Azure Monitor. They will monitor for you what is things are going on, how many virtual machines are working, how many costs they are charging, how many time it will take for run. So everything it will capture in a Zoom monitor, and they will give you a proper idea, proper sheet that, yeah, how it's work. Now Azure Monitor have a different services like application infrastructure and network custom, and we have a metric logs inside. So now here what we are doing, we are with help of Azure Monitor, what we can do, we have a matrix and logs format. We have a different formats. One of the metric and logs. In matrix, you can find a numerical real time data. You can find your data in the metric format as well and log format as well. So where you can insight in the inside side, whatever things, whatever application you are using, whatever my virtual machine, whatever service you are using, you can insightly check that. Insight means, for example, if you are using any application, so how it's work inside that also you can capture with the help of the Azure Monitor. How much time it will take for doing this, you can capture with help of that. Now you can visualize each and everything with help of Azure Monitor, how it's work. You can analyze here, you can respond on each and everything, like, yeah, if you are if you're giving find any kind of mail or any kind of alert, so you can respond also, that you can analyze, yeah, what things are going on. If you are going finding any mail or any trigger, then also you can check there as well. You can integrate, so it will provide you like infrastructure and a network where you can find everything on the each plate, and you can check inside also there, like what are inside there, what is your visual, you can visualize also, you can analyze, and you can respond on, so also on that. So we will give a I will provide you a lab also on that, like how it's works. So here we will check that analyzation with help of a data factory. So later I will provide a lab also on that, so it will be more easy to understand. So first of all, we will check what is Azure Metrics. So as you're able to see on the screen, Azure Metrics, we are finding a data in the graph format. So it will give you a real time data. What is a real time capacity of this? For example, if you are checking on the weather, or if you have a website, okay, any shopping website or anything, you have any shopping website, okay, and at the time of the Diwali season, you are finding a very much of rush on that, and after that the rush will be gone. Like after in the Diwali sale, so much people are coming and buying their clothes and accessories, whatever things you are selling. So some people are coming and buying each and everything, whatever they as per their. So it will provide you a graph. Yeah, at this time, these many people are coming in the graph format in the real time data. It will show you a numerical data in the real time. Yeah, it this time these many people are coming on the website and they are checking these things, and you are finding this time your website facing this much of rush. So for that we have scalability also, so that in the Azure, so it will provide you scalable. Yeah, if so many rush are coming now, so it will automatically scale up and scale down. That is also a feature of Azure that Azure provide. But in that, if you want to see how many rush are coming and how your website is working, so at the time metrics will show you, yeah, this time these many people are coming, and this time these many people are trying to find your data and trying to find your uh, website. So like you're able to see in that what is the use cases of this, how it's work, and what is exactly metrics. So as I mentioned, it is a real time data. It will provide real time data, and it is a numerical value it's present, and it will collect a different resources, like not as a particular resource. If I'm providing, it will uh, find a data from different resources. It will analyze each and every resources, each and every services. On the basis of that, if it will provide you a exact amount of value or real value. So that is the metrics. Now comes to the log. This is also same similar kind of, but it will not provide you a numerical data. It will, you need to, if for example, if you have a virtual machine, or if you have data factory and you need to find you have different data factory, different virtual machines. So that is not the case, like you will go and you will check each and every virtual machine or data factory, as I earlier told you. No. So what you can do, you can capture a logs, and on the basis of that you can run a KQL query, and after that you can find a particular amount of result. Okay, so you can do a troubleshooting for that. So first of all, what you can do, you will create a, for example, a data factory. Then you can, whatever you have a data for the raw to refine, if you are copying a data to raw to refined zone. So first of all, what you can do, you are using a like for example copy activity. So where you are putting your data from raw zone to refined zone. So first of all, you are creating a source and sink, then you are adding the raw data, and then from there to you are putting your data in the refined zone. So, and there are so many kind of pipeline or so many kind of data factory for that. So after that, you thought, yeah, we need to collect the logs, how many time my pipeline are running, how many time it succeed, how many time it's failed. So you need to collect log exactly. If you have a 10 data factory, if you have 10 more than 10 data factory, so you need to collect the log for each and every data factory. So you, it's not like that you can go one by one and then check. No, for the example of this with the help of this logs, you can collect each and every log. So each and every data with help of the single QL query, they are all that you need to run. Like, yeah, how many data factory you need to find, or which data factory you need to find the logs exactly data. So you need to use a KQL query, or with help of that KQL query you can find result in that form of the logs. Now alerts. So for example, alerts, if you will see, you are running a pipeline. Okay, as we are already taking an example of a data factory pipeline. So you are using a pipeline. Okay, so via that time your pipeline got failed, or that time your pipeline got succeed. In any cases, you are adding an alert. Yeah, if my pipeline got failed, then a trigger will run, and I will got a mail. Yeah, your pipeline got failed because of this reason. So you can check that. Okay, so alert will come. It will give you a proper way that, yeah, it will give you a think, yeah, these your things are working properly, succeedly, or if your things are not working properly. So it will generate a alert. For example, if you are taking your in personally also, if you are taking a, you have a Gmail. Okay, so your Gmail will storage will full. So you will got a alert. Yeah, your Gmail will storage is 90% full, 60% full, 70% full, 80% full, and it in the after that it will 100% full. So they will send you an alert each and every time. Yeah, you need to take a more storage. You need to buy a more storage, or if you don't need to buy a more storage, then you can clean your storage. It will provide you alerts. So like that kind of feature also providing Azure with your different services. And in metrics also, in logs also, if you are using any kind of services, data factory, virtual machine, any web app, anything. So in each cases you can use alert, where you can find a mail message, and it will show you a proper form that yeah, why your pipeline or your anything virtual machine are not working, why it's got failed, or why if it's working, then yeah, it will you can find that mail also in the both cases. Now application insight. So what is application insight? In application insight, we have, for example, we have a app. Okay, we are using a app. Okay, so as I already told you, in the website site metrics, yeah, so many people are coming on a website, and you need to find yeah how whatever, how many people are checking and how many people are not checking at that date. Like on the 24th, so many people are there, but in the 25th, not such a rush are coming. Okay, so in the application inside, it will as per the name you are able to understand, it will the same thing are applied on the app side. If you are in a web app, okay, and the web app side you are running a 100 jobs, okay, and 100 jobs, in that 100 jobs 80 jobs are succeeded, but 20 jobs got failed. So it will show you that result, yeah, your 80 jobs are running on this, but your 20 jobs got failed because of this. So it will give you insight of that particular application. Yeah, this is a pipeline, this is the app, or this is the case that will, you are where you are running 100 uh, jobs, but your 20 jobs got failed, and why inside also it will go provide you. So there you can see it will show you a web app example where you are using a SQL query, and if it's got succeeded 100%, then it will, as per the alert, it will comes to you. But if it's not, then inside view of application, particular application, it will provide you inside view, so you can trace each and everything, and each and every event you can trace, you can custom each and every event. So like exact thing whatever they are providing, you can trace for that with in the app case. And in the performance, how it's work, it will work very good, it will perform slow. That performance side, it will give you a proper insight view, everything it will provide you in the proper way. So now a VM. So same thing applied on the VM as well. Whatever applied on the data factory and each pipeline. So same thing applied on the VM as well. You can monitor, yeah, if you are using 20 VMs or more than 20 VMs. So you can analyze, yeah, these many 20 VMs are running, these many charges they are passing. Yeah, each VM are taking this much of charge, and 20 VM are running at the same time, or at the same time 10 VM are running, not more than 10. You have 20, but you are running at the time 10. So that each and everything it will show you in the graph. So now I will give an idea on that lab side. So first of all, this is our log demo. So here already I have created one pipeline. This is a simple pipeline that I already give you an example, where we have a source. So this is a simple our source, and this is our sink. So I'm just using a simple copy activity that I have already created before this session. So this is a simple pipeline where I'm putting data from raw to refined zone. Okay, and yeah, they are giving a name. Yeah, this is our name, and this is our source. Okay, we are putting a file into CSV, and this is our sink. So simple pipeline we are using. Okay, so here first of all we will trigger this pipeline so that we can collect exact 24 hours data. Recent data also we can collect. So before we can use log analytics, first of all we need to trigger our pipeline. So now ADF pipeline run. So just only we are using ADF pipeline, so they aren't so much only a prepared of.
Ma'am, your screen just got stopped, like it's not visible.
Okay. Let me reshare.
Yes, ma'am.
Able to see.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are.
So I will again repeat again, as you are not previously able to see. So simply this is the pipeline where we are using copy activity, not is not hardcore one. So this is our data factory where we are using copy activity. So this is our source. Okay. And we are the Azure blob storage. Now sync side. Okay, so we are simply find data raw to refined zone. Here we are using raw, and in sync side we are using refined zone. Simply we are adding our file raw to refined zone, nothing else. Okay, so for demo purpose, it will I make so. This is a log demo. The logs also previously before the session I prepared. So we need to run as we already trigger the pipeline for collecting the logs. Okay, so this is the in progress, this is in queue, and succeeded, so we can get all the data here. So we are collecting all logs that last 24 hours, as I mentioned, last 24 hours. So it will provide each and every log, what is in the progress, in queue, succeeded, if anything has got failed, that will also provide you, like this one is a fail one. So each and everything it will provide you in the result, and if you want to check, you can go in the inside and then you can check. Okay, this is our logs. Apart from that, if we need to check on that, so apart from that, if we need to check on the diagnostic metric side also, that also we can provide. So here you can see already I opened the my metric. So diagnostic setting, first of all I will tell you, because if we already check on the logs, so in the diagnostic setting you can come in that particular whatever data factory you have, so you can need to come on the data factory, then you need to come diagnostic setting, then you need to provide every detail, right? Yeah, this is the name. Now, log analytics, if you want to check, then you need to provide your log analytics name. Like I already prepared that log analytics, because first of all, you need to create a data factory, then you need to create a pipeline, then after that, you need to create a log analytics. But you need to connect both of them, log analytics and data factory, so that you can find the logs. So here, with help of the diagnostic setting, in the data factory only, you need to connect with the log, you need to provide a credential here, and after that, you can uh, connect both of them. Okay, now if we need to find the data on the matrix level, so first of all we need to select the matrix. For example, I will select succeed pipeline runs. Okay, so it will give me me idea 12 it got succeeded, so it will show you in the graph side, in the numerical value it will show me the result. Now alerts, earlier I prepared for succeed one. Yeah, ki, how many times it succeeds. So we need to first trigger. So first of all, I will create a one alert rule, and I will show you for field one. So we will create for failed one. Okay, so here we need to pass a name at which time it will come. Okay, so total get, so there is a credential, it will by default come, and you can change as per you. So state side I already provided there, at the time of fail it will come. So no action we needed. Okay. Now details that we need to add. Rule name. So I will provide you at the time of fail underscore. Okay. Rule description is not necessary, is as per you if you want to provide. Then tags also, if you want to add tags as per that, that is also not compulsory. Okay, so I've just give a simple detail and then create. Okay, so now we need to come to the pipeline and need to trigger this for getting the data. Okay, it will maybe take some time for showing. So now we are yeah, I think or this one is not failed, that's why it's not showing for fail one. We will same like we can create for succeed one as well. Why it's not showing? Maybe there's a issue, that's why it's not showing. Let me check again. Maybe it will take some time or it will be facing any issue. So that so same kind of we need to use alert here for creating the alert for fail, succeed, and total. It will give you here idea, total, and critical task if there is any error, warning, information. So same you need to create, and here you can you here you're able to see what is exactly result, how if it's having area, if it's having any bonding, any kind of. So here you can get that idea. So so this is the idea for logs, metrics, and you can also provide here limit. Like if you I need to provide limit 4, so it will give you idea as per that, yeah, as the 4 also, yeah, it will provide you. Because if you have a large amount of the data, if you have a more than 10 or 20 or sorry, am I like 100 or more than 100, so you can give the limit, yeah, latest only you can, you need to find top 5 you need to find, so as per that also you can trigger in this case. So let this thing, I need to check why it's not working. So Azure Monitor side, this is the overview of Azure Monitor. Here you can create, find active logs, alerts, metrics. You can change analysis, service cells, like your service cell side also it will support. So it's look like the application side, virtual machines. So inside which insight you can check. So it will also provide you insight view of these services, and you can manage settings. So this is the overview of the monitor. So if you can check in the data factory, you need to first of all come and then you need to check in the particular data factory. But if you want to check in the Azure Monitor, each and every data factory you can check here only. Healthcare side, every services side you can find the Azure Monitor, each and every pipeline or virtual machine. So I didn't create these many because I only demo side only I have created one. So that is this ADF demo one. So apart from that, there is a no such a pipeline or virtual machine. Now comes to the again um, PPT. I hope it's visible. Now security center side, security integration. That so I showed you in that. I showed you in the into Azure Monitor as well. So we it will provide you security. So because we are using a different services and different machine, virtual machine or data factory in Azure Monitor, but we are not able to check because we have so many data factory or uh, and we have so many virtual machine, so we can't check each and every. So it will provide you security, if it will provide us everything in the single plate, and on that it will provide you security that only you can see, or if you are allowed to someone and you can only manage, so it will provide a proper security on that. So that is the benefit of the Azure Monitor. It's a cost saving, you can reduce your cost. It is a simply you can manage because everything is come on the single platform. It will provide you security and good performance because you no need to manage each and everything, one go to one by one each and every place, it will manage you for you. And the performance side also you can crack, yeah, this is the performance how it's work. Only single monitoring agent means that it no need to manage each and every, only Azure Monitor will manage, so it will a single monitoring agent. So thank you for joining the session. It's come to the question answer round. If you have any question, you guys can ask.
I see. I see there are no questions in the comment section, ma'am. So what we can do, we can just go ahead with the next session. And thank you, ma'am, for your time. And okay, someone is asking. Okay, so yeah, you can always get these from Microsoft official documentation is always there. Now let's go ahead with the. Thank you, Apura, ma'am, for joining in. It was really nice to host you and learn from you. Now, Asanka sir is here. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. He'll be
Yeah,
speaking on navigating the cloud native integration landscape, practical approach with Ballerina and Choreo. That's a new tech that is working behind the Azure. So he'll be guiding you what it looks like to work with Ballerina and Choreo and what could be the practical approaches behind working with these tools. So not wasting much more time, I'll quickly pass on the stage to. Uh, okay, I'll quickly pass on the stage to Asanka sir.
yeah. Thank you, Lakshit. Let me share my screen, and then you can let me know whether you can see the screen. All good?
Yes, we can see.
Can you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
the
all
screen?
good. We can see. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can see this.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So, it's great to be here to talk about the cloud native integration development, mainly the development landscape. So, I'm Asanka Bevira. I work in WSO2 as a senior technical lead. So, I have been working in WSO2 for almost 10 years, mainly in the integration space. So, today, my focus is mainly so basically navigate you through these the complexities we find in integration development, and then use Ballerina and Choreo together and show you how we can use these technologies to find solutions and make the development easier. Okay. First of all, so the main plan is I'll go through like quickly 5 to 10 minutes. I'll give you some background on what we like, background to the demo that I do, and then rest of the time I will do the demo, and then later on we can do a Q&A session, right? So so if I during the time that I have been working with customers, so what we have seen is like in this current digital age, most of the like every software companies in a sense has become uh, a software company irrespective of its primary industry. The reason for this transformation is for the companies has to rely a lot on the digital services that are available to do their day-to-day operations, right? For example, if you take like customer engagements, data processing, and even strategic decision making, you have to rely a lot on digital services. So what this means is like this is having a good integration with these services is just not advantageous. You the companies need to have those because uh, to be competitive in an evolving market, you need to have these all integrations working smoothly, and then you need to be able to develop those integrations very quickly and very efficiently, and those should be very stable and reliable, right? So in this diagram also I'm showing a few stuff that a typical company would have to integrate with, like for example SAP, Salesforce, GitHub, PayPal, Gmail. Those are an example. So while we are working with these customers, we have identified mainly three type of things that people do to solve the integration problem. So first up, we have automations. So when I say automations, I mean like sharing and syncing data between different systems. So it's so for example, if I want to share something between Salesforce and a Gmail or a Google Sheet or something like that, we normally use a automation. So automations can run on a schedule, or someone can come and trigger an automation, right? And then when we talk about automation, it's just not moving data from this system to that system. You have to transform the data, like you have to make sure that data fits the context that we are talking with, and then you also have to make sure that you are doing it in a reliable manner. Systems can go down, come up again, so you have to make sure that your business case is handled correctly. So the second one is event-driven integrations. So this is mainly an software process or an integration that looks for a certain events happening in a external or internal system, and then reacting on when that event happens, it has to react and do a certain set of actions or a workflow when that happens. So here again, it's not just reacting to that. You have to make sure that you are correctly transforming the data and handling those in a reliable manner. So the third type is integration as API. So in here, we are talking about designing software processes and workflows, and like chaining different services, and exposing that integration, this complex integration, as an API to the outside world, so that developers or systems can use to talk to this integration. So here again, we have to make sure we have the correct security implemented, and these services should be able to handle large workloads seamlessly. It's like scale up, scale down seamlessly, right? Without affecting the users. So those are like the main three types of solutions that we have seen people develop. So if I talk a little bit about the enterprise integration development in the cloud native era, so what we have seen is, in traditionally there have been a lot of integration platforms, and in these platforms we have seen like tools mainly leaning towards a low code and no code approach. So these are very good if you have if your problem perfectly matches with these patterns that these platforms expose. So if your problem goes beyond that pattern, then most often we have seen the developers has to go back to basics and then write their logic in Java, JavaScript, Go language, something like that. So some integration platforms overcome this by providing extensions to be written in programming languages, but it's still the user experience can be bit not there. And another thing that we have seen is sometimes the people separate the normal software development with integration development. And so in normal software development lifecycle, we have source controlling, versioning, CI/CD pipelines, configuration management, all that is considered. But sometimes we see that integration development, people just rely on the tool that they use and they just forget about all the other things, and then that can lead to problems in managing this integration. So therefore, what we believe is these even the integration development is a kind of software development, and we should make sure all these best practices are adhered when developing and maintaining the software, right? So that's like the high level software the integration development platform. So let's see where the product Choreo fits in this paradigm. So I already talked about the typical integration vendors who leans towards low code and no code approaches. And then in the right hand side, I have the cloud infrastructure platforms like Azure. So they have a very wide range of tools. It's really great. You can develop anything you wish for, but you just have to learn about those things, and you need to have an expertise to wire things up and build your own platform to run your business application, right? So in Choreo, where Choreo fits in is in the middle. So here, so we have a platform, again a very simplified one. The users doesn't need to have a very high expertise on handling hardware, how to create pipelines, how to configure these different monitoring tools, those stuff. It's not really necessary, but you can, or when you grow, you can slowly transition into those advanced use cases. That's a choice, but you can start very simply and scale when required, right? So we have so in Choreo we have the capability to plug in an Azure data plane. Like if you have a Azure subscription, you can create your own Kubernetes cluster and configure it in a certain way so that it connects with the Choreo. So then you have that underlying control as well. So Choreo itself is also built on top of Azure. So this is the high level architecture of Choreo. This is just a very high level one. So here I have drawn this diagram to match with the software development lifecycle, like the workflow that a software development would take. Right? We would normally start with a strategy, and then the business will come up with a business architecture, and then we will come up with an application architecture, right? And then the developer will start to develop their these specific business applications. So to do that, developers can pick their own tool, and depending on the task and the expertise of the team, they will pick a certain technology and certain development tools. and then they can develop the tool, locally test and all that. And then normally we have seen GitHub being used as a standard these days to host the code that they generate and to collaborate on the code. So normally people would commit their code there. So Choreo supports GitHub, and then additionally there are certain other things as well, but mainly GitHub is supported. And then when you have your code in GitHub, you can just connect to Choreo and build, test, deploy, and do all those tasks to get the software up and running in the cloud. So here in the bottom of the diagram, I have mentioned how the data plane, like the place where we run workloads, is architected. So it's so you can deploy these data planes in Azure, AWS, Google, anything you can deploy, and then connect to the Choreo. So when you deploy and connect to Choreo, so you get these all the additional services out of the box. You don't have to do anything; it just works. So one thing is marketplace, and the observability is pre-configured. You just have, you can see. I'll show you how those looks during the demo. And then business analytics is mainly used to see how the how your services are being used by users and how it is performing. And then the CIO dashboard is mainly to look at the metrics related to the development team, how efficient we are delivering software, right? So I have few more slides, but since time has a little bit spent on the presentation, I'll come back to this one in the middle or the after the demo. Yeah, I'll mention a little bit about Ballerina language. You may have already have heard about the Ballerina language in before the sessions that has happened before, but I'll just briefly give an overview. So Ballerina is a integration language developed specifically for developing integrations. So here also, as I have previously mentioned, so we have seen that people like moving between code and low code. So we have designed this in a such a way that you can do that, like whenever needed. Sometimes some part of the program you can quickly do the code, and then if you want, you can switch back to the visual mode and do those stuff. And I'm not planning to go too deep into this one, but just think like we have these standard features, and even the connectors. If you take connectors, there are 1,000+ connectors which you can use with Ballerina language. Right? Yeah, I'll straight away jump into the demo. So this is the use case that I'm planning to use for the demo. So imagine this is a organization. Right? Let's assume it's a bank, and this is the system that we are developing is for the loyalty management. You might have already seen and worked with these systems like that. So loyalty management is mainly like you get a credit card. You can get a credit card from the bank, and then when you use that credit card, you get some sort of loyalty points, right? And then using those loyalty points, you can get vouchers, like certain rewards from the bank's reward management system. So so this the system is designing for that one. So here you can see there are 3 teams. So the experience team is the user experience team, who has the responsibility of maintaining the web portal that is exposed to the outside users. So they are responsible for developing the front end portal, and as well as the back end used for that front end. And then the external vendor management team is mainly responsible with dealing with external vendors. The people, the vendors that provide these vouchers are managed by these external vendor management team. So they have these certain services to do that. And then the loyalty management team is mainly working with the loyalty users. So they manage the loyalty, how many points it has, and then the profiles of the user. Those stuff are managed by the loyalty management team. So in this scenario, the scenario that I explained, the flow is happening like this. So a customer comes to the web portal, and then he goes and see his number of points. Then he scrolls through the rewards available for him, and then he pick one reward and try to redeem that reward for his use, right? So initially, so the request will come to the experience team's backend, and then let's assume like the backend will receive the user ID and the reward ID. So I will first call the loyalty management API and get a user get the user details, which has emails, name, like information. and then I need those information to call the external vendor management service. So then I will call, I will combine the user information and the reward ID I got from the web portal and call the vendor management API. And then in the vendor management API, it will call back the external vendors, and the external vendors can asynchronously take their time and process and call back endpoint in the external management. And then after the external management API, external vendor management API get the response, they can do certain things in the system, store the voucher number or something like that, and present to user. So in this demo, I'm going to implement the first part from scratch, like starting from an empty directory. I'm going to implement this whole thing. I hope I can do that in like 30 minutes. Let's see how it goes. I hope up to now everything is clear. So can you see my other screen? I hope I shared the entire screen. I hope you can see. Lakshit, I think it's good, right? You can see it. Can you see a terminal? I assume you can see. Let me know if it's not showing. Right. So here I'm going to create a directory. Let's call it customer experience service. And then so initially, at the initial stage, my plan is to implement this logic using Ballerina language. Right. So I will initialize the Ballerina. I will first open this in VS Code. Okay. Let me take the VS Code in this window. Okay. Hope you can see the VS Code editor window. So here, just can you confirm whether you can see
Yeah,
my
we can see the screen. Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay, good. So here now I have an empty directory, right? So here I'm going to initialize the code here. I'm going to type Ballerina new T service. Yeah, so this will initialize the directory with the sample hello world application. Right here you can see the generated code. So this have a Ballerina toml and a service. So the main source file is service bal. So we'll get that one, and I'll show you how that looks when we visualize this, how it looks like. Yeah, so it looks like this. So we can go inside the service. So in the left hand side I have the code, in the right hand side I have the visualization of that code. Nice. If I go here, and I can see there is a get resource called greeting, and that's a hello world. So we'll start by removing it. Okay, so I'll add a new service. I add a new resource here. So I'm going to add a post resource. We'll call it pick, and we'll save it. Right. So now you can see that resource has been added to this one. Don't worry too much about the syntax. I think you can go and look up that in the Ballerina website. But for this one, I think it's very self-explanatory. Right? I have imported the Ballerina HTTP, and then I have declared a service, and inside that one I have created a resource. So I'm doing all this visually. So you can also later on follow and then do the same thing. So to show you that, so here you can see, so we are showing a Swagger-like interface in the visualization. Here now we have only 201. So I'm going to add a code. I add some code, and let's see what happens. So let's say returns. We'll return an optional error. Yeah. So did you see that the 500 error has appeared in the visualization, right? Okay. Now, before we do the rest of the development, we want to discover how those different services that we talked earlier are configured. Right? You remember I mentioned about these vendor management API and the loyalty management API. So how do we do that? So I'll first go to the Choreo website and log into my organization. So let's give few minutes for it to load. Yeah. So when you log in, you will see something like this. You will be in your organization, and all the projects will be visible. For the moment, just forget everything about this one. And in the right hand side, you will find the developer portal. Right? I'll go to the developer portal and look for those APIs that I described earlier. I'll go to APIs, and yeah, so we have the loyalty man. You can search from here as well. Let's say loyalty, and it should, yeah, the loyalty API will appear. Then I can just go around and look what it does. So you can go to the tryout and see what it does. So let's see. It basically is extracted from the service functionality. So this one, when I look at, so it has a user resource, get resource, and I have to pass the ID, and it will return something like this. Okay, and then if I go to the other one is the vendor management service. And so it's, if I go to this one, so it has a resource like this one. So if you are curious how I got all these already available in my organization, so I basically deployed a sample that is there in Choreo. So how you go to a sample is, you can go inside a project. Let's say we go inside the say vendor manager. So here you can see samples available in Choreo. So here you can go and search for customer side. Then it will show this up, the customer reward management, and you click on that one, it will take you to the repository. So these different service implementations are there, so you can find all the information there as well. So I deployed this in Choreo to get all these functionality. So these different services are written using different languages. For example, if I go to the loyalty engine, it's written using a main program and hosted in Choreo, right? So that's how I got all that. So we go back to the developer portal again. So now we know, so we have the loyalty management and the vendor management API, right? Okay, so we'll start developing the rest of the service. Okay, we go here and we'll click on the edit button. No, we will go back before the first thing, we'll define the data structures that we need to work with, like the request and the responses. Okay, first I will click on this and I close the terminal for the moment. Like you can click on this button where it will add certain stuff. I'll add plus component, and then I will go to the record type, and here I will create a new one. I'll give it a name. Let's call it the reward selection, and I'll add a string parameter and call this user ID, and then we'll add another one called reward ID. So if you remember from the discussion, these two are the inputs to this service. I'll save that. And we need another two data structures. So one is we have to send the user ID get a user information, right? For that one, I'm again going to go again to the component and click on record. And now I'm not going to create it manually. I'm going to import a JSON. So I'll click on import JSON, and I quickly go back to the developer portal again. So now we are in the vendor management API. So I'll quickly get the vendor management payload from this one. I just copy, paste here, and I'll call this vendor request. This is the payload that we are going to send to the vendor API. Save, finish. So you can see that it has been added to as a Ballerina record type in the source file. I have another one to add. Go to record, import, and now I have to go and find the loyalty API, right? Loyalty API. Go to tryout and then click on this one. Yeah, so this is the response returned by the loyalty endpoint. Come here, paste it, and we'll give it the user. We call it user record. Okay. Right. So we have all the data types we need defined in the source code. So now I'll show you how you can add logic to the resource that we have implemented. You have to go inside this one and click on these small icons that looks like a sequence diagram. So let me click on that one, and then I'll click on this plus sign. You have start to end, it's like a sequence diagram. So when you click on plus, and then let's get a function call, and I want to print a log. So I'll call log, and then print info So I'm following the example printed down below in this window. Right, so here it says info messages. So I want to print the reward selection that user has submitted through the portal, and I'm going to add a named argument. Let's call it selection, and here it will be let's call it I missed one step here. We'll for the moment call it this reward selection, and I'll add the, so we missed to add the parameter. I'll add it quickly from here. Reward selection, we'll call it reward selection. Okay, here also reward selection, right? So I'll do this one again. I'll delete this one, so then you get the idea correctly. So here I go here and then call the function call log, and then it will get this one. Here I'm going to add the reward selection and add a name parameter called selection, and here I'm going to add this parameter we added earlier, selection, right? Says undefined symbol, selection spellings. Yeah, that's fine. So we have added a log, and you can see the same represented visually in the diagram here. Okay, now the next step is we need to call the backends. So how do we do that? For that one, we have to define certain client HTTP clients to call these endpoints. So how do we do that? So I come back here to the front page and then click on component and click on connector. So this will give the list of connectors that is supported by Ballerina. This information is pulled from the Ballerina. So you have Twitter, Google Sheets, OpenAI Text, Amazon S3. All those APIs are like pre-built connectors are there. So what I want is I want to use an HTTP client to call back to those endpoints. So I'm going to type HTTP and then click on client. Now it will pull the package from the Ballerina Central and add it here. So I'm going to add the endpoint name. Let's call this loyalty endpoint. And then for the URL, I'll add the value later. We'll keep that empty for the moment. And I'm going to click on config here because I know that these endpoints that I showed you in the dev portal are protected. And I have to use OAuth to call them. So I'm going to click on this OAuth, and then the credential type will be client credential. And I click that, it automatically picks the required parameters. So that's all I need to do, and I'll click on save. So now you can see this code block has been added to the our code editor, right? So let's just keep the values empty for the moment, and we'll add another one because we have another endpoint. It's called let's call it vendor endpoint. Okay, we have now two endpoints. Here I'll go to this the function, the resource that we have defined here, and add the call that we want to do. So what do we need to do? We want to call the loyalty endpoint. Okay, then where do we have to go? We have to go and look up in the developer portal. Okay, yeah. So we have to do a get call to the user resource. So we'll do user, and then we have to provide the user ID. User ID comes from the reward selection dot user ID, and yeah. So that's the I have made another typo here. Okay, yeah. So this is the code. So what do I get from this? I get a user record by calling this. So I am getting a user record, and so this endpoint returns an error, can return an error, optional error. So for that one, I am going to put a check call. So what check does is I don't have to manually check the errors in my logic anymore. It will forward it to the caller of this resource. Okay, now that let's see how that looks in our diagram. See, you can see now we are calling this loyalty endpoint and getting the data. And so we'll add a log also to make sure we got the correct user count there. And then now we have to do a data transformation, right? So we have so if you look at the data we have the reward selection like looking like this, and then we have the user record looking like this. We want to create this vendor request which we will be going to use to call the endpoint. So so how do we do that? So we can go here again to the front page, and you can click on this one and data mapper. So here we'll pick the ones we have. We have the user, and then we have the reward selection data structures, and then in the existing records we will pick the vendor request. Okay, so these are the inputs. This will be the output. Click on save, and wait, I think I had the cursor on the wrong location when I did that. We'll do that again. We'll click on here, click on component, data mapper. I'm going to add the user, and then I'm going to add the reward selection, and then I'm going to add the vendor request as the output type. Okay, update, save. Yeah. Now you get a view like this. So this has a visual representation of the data that we are dealing with. So this one, so to build the output, I'm going to get the reward ID from the this one, and then get the user ID also from this one, and then get the first name from this one, last name from this one, and the email from this one. Okay. Yeah. So let's see the code that is generated from this one. Yeah, you have this is the code that you get when you do that data mapping. Okay, now what do we have to do? We have to do the transformation. So transform, we get the user and the reward selection, the selection, and we will get a vendor request out of this. Let's call this vendor request. Right. So for the completion, like to debug, if you want to see, we'll add a log as well here. So you can see the GitHub Copilot is suggesting even before I type. So now we have everything we need. So what is the next thing? Next thing is we want to call the vendor endpoint with those data. So the GitHub Copilot is suggesting something. Let me take that one, but that's not what I want. I know that I want to call the vendor endpoint, and let's again go back to the developer portal and see how the API that we want to talk expects the input to be. So we have the vendor management API here. So I'll go to the tryout section and expand this one. Yeah, so we have to send a post request to this one, the rewards. I'm going to type rewards, and this will be a post request. So I'll call dot post and the vendor request, which we created in the earlier step. Right now, so I think we have done all the service chaining part correctly. So for the completion, I'll return something to show you that feature as well. So let's say I'll return a word like success here. So here it shows an error. So let's see. Yeah. So if you look at the method signature, this will fix the method signature here. Change the return type. So if you can see, this is what happened. So here this one also showing a yellow line. So because we have not used the response variable, we can just ignore it like this. Yeah. So the code look good, but we still have some problems, right? We didn't put value for these parameters. So how do we do that? So normally we don't hard code these sort of things. We take these from the configurations. For that one, Ballerina has a feature called configurables. Here we can define a string. So we have two endpoints, loyalty endpoint and the vendor endpoint, right? And then we have there are three other parameters. I will also specify them here. Configurable, string, one is token URL, and the client ID, client secret. Okay, so I think we have everything. Now let's try to run this and see what happens. Run. So it says we need a config.toml file. Okay, let's create that one also. Yeah, so it's asked for those parameters in a configuration file. So how do we get that? Again, the place we have to go is the developer portal. So we go to the developer portal, and so we are in the vendor management view. So here we can see the production URL here. So I'm going to copy it. Going to copy it and paste it in the loyalty. Sorry, this was the vendor management. So we have to paste it here, vendor management endpoint URL. And then we'll go back and find the loyalty endpoint that we want to call. So the loyalty endpoint, and we'll get the production URL from here, and then copy it here, paste it here. So we need three other parameters. How do we do that? So now for this application to work, the use auth and call to these backends, we have to create an application. So we'll go here and I'll try to create an application. Let's call this customer experience backend app. Okay, create, and we have to go to subscriptions and subscribe to those services available in the developer portal. So I'm going to subscribe to the loyalty management and the vendor management. Okay, now I have the relevant subscriptions in the developer portal. So I need to generate the client credentials for those ones. So it's very simple. You have to come here and click on generate credentials. Yeah, I generated the credential that I should use to call this endpoint. So I'll quickly copy those stuff. This is the consumer key, which is client ID, and then the consumer secret here, and then the token endpoint is this. Okay, yeah, so we should have everything we need to run the program locally. Now I'm going to run it. Click on run and let it compile the Ballerina program. So until that compiles, I'll open up the try it view that we have in the VS Code editor. Yeah. So this one will open up a side pane again with the service definition, and then I can use this to test our service out. So I'll wait for this to complete. It's still compiling the source code. It has to pull all these dependencies and then compile. Okay, I got an error. Client ID. We forgot to specify those parameters. Even though we declared the configurations, we forgot. So let's define those stuff. So here it should be the loyalty endpoint URL. Here it's a vendor endpoint URL. Here it is token URL, client ID, client secret. Okay, I'm going to copy the same thing here as well. Okay, so we'll try to run it again. It's compiling. Let's hope it works this time. If I have done all the things correctly, it should compile and run correctly. I hope you are clear with what I have done up to now. Yeah, so it's running. So we can use this test view to now test it out. So for this one, so we click on try out and we have to specify. So this one I have a predefined input that we can use with the service with the correct use IDs and the reward IDs. So I'm going to use it here. So reward ID is this one and this. Okay, so we'll call execute. So you can see the logs printing, which we put in the logic, and then we got a success. Okay, so here you can see that we have received a request like this, and then it called the loyalty endpoint and got information like this, and then it transformed the data into this one and called the vendor. So all look good to me. I'm going to now commit this to a GitHub repository. Okay, first of all, I'll go here and initialize the repository. I'll add all this. The one thing to note is, like, if you remember that I created this config toml, this has some secrets and all that, which we shouldn't commit to a repository. So by default, in the gitignore file generated, we are ignoring that file and not committing it. Then the repo will not have any sort of those information available in the repository, right? So I'll go here and I'll add all the changes here, and then commit, let's say initial commit. Okay, now I have to go to GitHub and create a new repository to host this one. It's called customer experience service, and create a repository in GitHub. Okay, I now have an empty repository. I'll copy this part since I have the repository, the Git repo initialized locally. Open up a terminal and then paste this code. It should push the code to GitHub. Come to the GitHub, refresh. Yeah, so the code is there. Now what is left for us is to host this service that we wrote inside Choreo. So how do we do that? I'll again start from the beginning so that it's very clear to you. So we go to the console.choreo.dev, and then it should present me the project view. So we'll go back to the organization view by clicking on this one. So we are now in the organization, and I'll create a new project to host these service, because I can't find a one suitable for the current one. So this service, if you go back to the use case diagram, belongs to the experience team. Right now the experience team doesn't have a project, so I'll create a new one. Click on create, and I'll create a customer experience, and then I'll pick the region as US region, and I'll click the multi-repository type and click on create. So in the behind the scenes, this will populate all the required resources in the Azure side to be able for the users to use. Right? Okay, now we have these different component types that we can use. So I wrote a service integration as an API. So what that means is I have to create a service component. I'm going to click on service, and I'm going to give the component a name, customer experience service, all this service, to authorize with GitHub, and then pick the repository I just created. So it's called customer experience service. Then I used Ballerina language. So as you can see, you have this list of languages supported at the moment. This will expand in the future. So I'm going to pick Ballerina, and then it will do some validations on the repository, and all look good. So I can click on create. Now the Choreo will behind the scenes will try to generate like all the resources and all, like bring up all the things that is required to run this component. For example, so when we deploy this, it will be deployed into a Kubernetes cluster. So if you remember, when we create the repository, we picked the Choreo cloud plane in the US, so it will be deployed in the US. So we need a certain namespaces configured in the Kubernetes cluster to deploy this one. So all this is happening behind the scenes, but the users of the platform doesn't have to worry about it. So since all is taken care of by the platform, and in addition to that, the CI/CD pipelines are also automatically configured, and 2 environments will be configured by default to this service. So every component will get that for free. So here, if you go to the deploy view, we can see that we have this build area and then development and production. Okay, now we will click on configure and deploy. So then it will bring up this window where we have to put all these values that we need to configure. So I'll go back to the VS Code editor and then copy this stuff here. So first we need the loyalty endpoint, and then we need the vendor endpoint. Yeah, that's yeah, and then token endpoint, and then the client ID and the secret. Okay, so here when we put these values behind the scenes, it will put these in a Azure Key Vault and make available, like those values will be available in the Kubernetes cluster in a secured manner. Like we have a separate Kubernetes operator which will go and fetch it from the Kubernetes from the Azure Key Vault and put it in the Kubernetes cluster. So here for the endpoint configurations, I want this to be a public endpoint. So I'm going to click on public and click on this one and click deploy. Let's see whether that get queued correctly. Yeah, so the CI/CD, the CI pipeline got started, and now it's queued. Yeah, it's still queued. Let's wait till it. Yeah, it's now starting to run. So in this pipeline, this is also pre-configured. When you create the component, it will check out the source code and do some prerequisite checks, and then do the Ballerina build, which will generate an executable, and then package this executable in a Docker file and create a Docker image, which we can then use in the deployment. Okay, now we have completed the Docker build step is completed. We are waiting for the deployment to complete. So in Choreo, we are using a GitOps repository for the deployment part of it. So that's why we have a commit changes here. So it's okay, it's deployed. And so yeah, you can see from this development card, it's available in the development environment. We haven't pushed this to the production yet. So let's go and test it out. So we can go test console. Here you can see all the information related to that one. So I come here and try it out, and I'll go and fetch the sample input, put it here, and then execute. Let's wait for the response. Yeah, we got the success response. Let's also go and check for the log values that we put in the code, just to make sure everything is working correctly. So I can go to this logs runtime view and then click on the development environment. I only have the code running in development environment, and see whether we get, yeah. So you can see the two logs that we added, the user and the vendor request that we added in the log. Right. So we'll come back again. Since all look good, we'll promote this to production. So okay, so yeah, now we can promote this to production. So when we promoting, we have to again provide those configuration parameters. For this demo, I'm going to use the same development parameters that we used earlier. Let's click on next, and then this will push those values to the production Azure Key Vault. When I click on next, and then it will ask for the endpoint again, what to do with the endpoint. So all look good for me. I'm going to click on promote. Okay, so now it will take the image that we built in earlier step and deploy it in the production Kubernetes cluster. Okay, that also looks good. So we'll, just to make sure everything is working correctly, I will go to the console and click the get the production environment details, and try it out and see what happens. Okay, execute. Yeah, so we got the success response again, and we can go and see this one. So instead of going there, I will go to the DevOps view. We have this view. So here you can see the pods running in the Kubernetes cluster where we have deployed for you. So if you go to this one and check on real-time logs, yeah, it shows the logs that was printed from that program that we have put it. right? So yeah, that also look good. So I mentioned to you that I will also show the observability stuff that we have. So if I go to the observability view here, you should be able to see the things that we did with the API. So yeah, so here you can see the sequence, the visual view for the program, and here you can see the throughput and the latencies printed here. So here you can see we have sent one request because we are looking at the production here. So you can change to development as well. For the moment we are looking at the production, and the latency, how the latency has worked out. So latency was around 1 second for this one, for this specific instance. And here you can see the logs, and then we have the diagnostic view, which shows you it's like a correlation between different parameters like date and time logs, and the error rates that we have observed, CPU, how CPU has worked out, memory, and all those information. So this the one that I created just now doesn't have much data, so I'll show you a one that has data and how that one looks like. So I click on this one. This is a pre-configured and running service. So here, so this is how you would see a normal like a program that is running for a long time. So you can see the error counts have, how the error counts have varied, how the success rates have varied, and how the latencies has varied, and the error stream, the log stream here, and the diagnostic view, how things have collectively changed in the system. So this is very useful when you are debugging something. Right? So all look good. So except we have one more thing to do. So here in the developer portal, if you go to the developer portal, uh, we don't. If I go to the API section, I don't see my API here. Right? Yeah. So how do I make it available in the developer portal? So it's very simple. You just have to go to that our project and click on the component that we created, and it has a section called manage. You just have to go there, go to the life cycle, and then publish this to the dev portal. Click on publish, and it got published. So if you go to the developer portal and then click search, yeah, so you can see it here, right? So this name still doesn't look nice, so I want to change it. I'm going to go to settings, and let's change it. So this one I want to, let's call this like delete all this part and call this customer experience API. Okay, then let's see now how does it look in the dev portal. Now it says customer experience API. So there are a lot of things that you can change like that. You can change the owner details, and you can add documentation, and like you can like make this very informative, and so that the users of this API can easily integrate with this like very easily, since you have all the information here. So that is like the high level how you do from scratch to production and publishing your service, your integration service, using Ballerina and Choreo. So I'll come back to my demo. I can take questions if there are any. So I skipped a couple of slides. I'll go to that one and explain to you. So if you remember, I explained this use case where we had different teams, and then they were deploying different microservices, right? So if you keep that in mind and come back to this diagram, so this is like the like how a typical organization can organize their teams, and the the software that the services integrations that they develop inside Choreo. So this big square is the organization boundary. So that has everything that organization controls. So then these hexagonals are synonymous to the teams. So these teams have control on the stuff inside those hexagons. So these different microservices, like for example, let's take this top one is the loyalty management team. So they can deploy their services inside their scope and manage them, and then the vendor management can do it here. So all the things deployed inside this boundary is not exposed to the outside, that you can control how to expose. So to expose, you have two ways. You have this external gateway and the internal gateway. If you expose something through external gateway, that will be available through the internet, securely through the internet. And if you expose it only through the internal gate, it will be only available within the organization securely. And if you don't do any of that, that specific service will be available only inside those team, like the only inside those network boundary. I hope you got the idea. So here I have mentioned the how that those concepts maps to the Kubernetes concept, like Kubernetes pod is a component typically, and a project is a Kubernetes namespace, and this whole thing is the cluster. And if we look at the anatomy of a Choreo project, so it looks again something like this. We have these different services deployed inside. The top one is exposed to the internet through the external gateway. The one in the left is exposed to other projects in the organization through the internal gateway, and the bottom one is not exposed anywhere. It's available only to the services within that project. I hope, yeah, that's about it. So these are the resources. If you want to explore more, you can explore the sample that I showed you using this link, or the way that I showed earlier. Go to the Choreo console and then search for the sample. And if you want to learn more about Choreo, you can go to this website. And then if you want to learn more about Ballerina, you can go to this one. So yeah, that complete my session. You can take if there are any questions.
Yeah, so thank you, sir. Thank you for the insightful session. Though, so I can see the multiple queries people are. So there's a single query that has been asked multiple times. I would say people are asking for the slide that you are using. So by any chance, if you could share those slides, it would be better.
Yeah, okay. How do I do that? How do I share it? Whom should I send
Um,
it?
yeah. So you can just reply to that same email. I'll just add it to I'll share it with the folks.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so everyone, those who are asking for the slides, you will get all these slides and couple of resources in later time. I'll share by end of the day today. So you all will get all these details, everything on your email or maybe on the Discord group. We will share it all these slides. And okay, someone, sir, there is a if you would see there is a private chat button in your screen, right? If you could
Yes.
paste some resource links right over there for people to explore these Choreo and
The
ballet.
the resource things I share. Yeah, I can share those. So this was
Yeah, in the
the,
private chat. Yeah, you can just copy this entire thing and paste in the private chat. I'll paste in the main group. Yeah,
yeah. So this is
perfect. So, Aniket, I have already paid. Yeah, Aniket, here you go with the links, the source code for the use case and the for the choreo as well and for the ballerina as well. Everything is here, so you can just find everything right over here and always explore. And I'm sharing the LinkedIn ID of the expert speaker Sankar sir, so that you can, by any chance you got any query, any doubt, or you want to explore the choreo tool a little bit more, you can always explore, and there is always a chance to learn more from these experts. You can always follow them on LinkedIn. So here is the LinkedIn ID that I'm sharing. You can find it right over here. Uh, just give me a moment. I'm sharing it right. Yeah, it's in the chat section. So please use this link in order to. So now you can just explore get the LinkedIn ID of our expert speaker for today. So here is the LinkedIn ID of both our Apurva ma'am and for the Asanka sir. Both LinkedIn is present right over here. So if you have any doubts or any query related to how you can explore more and how it can benefit your business, maybe, so you can always explore these tools, and you can always explore contacting them through the LinkedIn. Maybe this could be the best approach, I would say. And thank you, sir, for your for a blissful time. It was really nice interacting, and I can see that lots of people are, still 170 some people are still in the session. So really, it was really engaging and insightful. Thank you for joining for this session, and I hope to meet you soon for some other initiatives, sir.
yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for joining in. See you all at 9 p.m. in the quiz. Thank you.